Hi everyone and welcome to another video. Today I'm at Oulton Park for their Gold Cup, which is in July, a kind of historic racing event. Today's the Friday, so it's practice day. You may hear quite a lot of background noise. They've got Formula 3, historic Ferraris racing, etc. But I'm actually here for Hampson Auctions. They have their auction, the Gold Cup, every year, once every year. And you can see I'm walking along all the cars outside here. And in the background you can see the marquee where there's just a few cars, and that's where the auction takes place. As usual with Hampson Auctions, there's a huge range of different cars, from fairly modern classics all the way back to vintage stuff. So I'm going to have a good look around, give you my thoughts as usual on the prices, the conditions, and follow them through after the auction and show you what they sold for. So I'm going to start down in this corner and work my way through the cars. There's a lot here. I won't go through all of them, but I'll go through the large majority because there's some really interesting cars here. Hopefully the noise in the background from the cars isn't too bad. There may be a lot of revving and cars going past on the racetrack. So starting with this 2005 Aston Martin DB9, obviously the 5.9 V12. Looks in pretty good condition. It's got lots of service invoices and some history with it. Looks fairly good on the outside. A few swirl marks on that black paint. And burgundy leather interior looks really good. Some minor wear on the seat bolster. I'd say quite a lot for 52,000 miles. Looks like there could be a bit of shrinkage up there on the dash, and as you can probably see, this is such a common problem in these DB9s at this age. That wood interior isn't looking the best. This leather on these DB9s tends to go like this in the sunlight. I speak to a trimmer and he says, you know, why put leather there in the dash where it gets all the sun? Unfortunately, it's very prone to doing this. You get this shrinkage and misshapen. It's very difficult, very expensive to repair. It's minor, of course, but just something to note if you're looking at these. Lovely looking 993 Porsche 911 here. It's a Carrera 2 Cabriolet. This is a 1997, so a fairly late one. The 3.6 flat 6, of course, two-wheel drive. This looks in reasonably good condition. It's 93,000 miles. I've spotted a few imperfections. There's, you know, it's an old car obviously, but around the handle here it's not looking great. I presume this just hasn't been clipped back in and there's no issue with it. And then just here I noticed this light is loose and was moving. It was sticking out when I came round. I touched it and it went back in like that. So I think there's an issue there. A couple of bits of curbing on the wheel, but nothing major. This has been well serviced. It's had a full engine rebuild by Porsche less than 1,000 miles ago. £28,000 worth of receipts, loads of paperwork with it. It's guided at £50,000 to £60,000. I don't think it's going to make that, having seen the couple recently at auction. I may be wrong. I think it'll struggle to get out of the 40s, to be honest. So obviously here a COBRA replica. This is a Southern ROADCRAFT, not one I'm actually so familiar with. It's got the 5.7 litre Ford Windsor V8 in it, as found in the Mach-1 Mustang, I believe. Looks absolutely beautiful, I have to say. Really nice looking car. Paintwork is excellent. The colour is right up my street. And this interior as well looks beautiful. Carbon around the dials there. The seats are in excellent condition. Yeah, lovely car. Estimated at running 300 to 330 horsepower, that. Here's a 1989 Golf GTI Cabriolet. It's no reserve, which is quite rare to see these go no reserve. I think this could make pretty good money, could be a pretty good buy. It's been in ownership for the last 5 years, and it's got this extra body kit on, had a comprehensive renovation in 2015. Paintwork looks excellent. I'd say that's not perhaps done the best around here, this body kit. This is locked, I can't get in, but actually it looks really good condition in there. And these are really desirable now, these Mark I cabriolets. Often people asking silly money for these, so interesting to see what this goes for as no reserve. You can see in this marquee a few cars, and obviously this is where the auction will take place on Sunday. So we'll just have a quick look at some of the cars in here, starting with this 205 GTI. So 1.9, it's a Japanese import with sunroof, air conditioning. It was originally an automatic and has since been converted to a manual. I don't know if that'll put people off or not. It's very low mileage for one of these. I think about 45,000 miles, guided at 15 to 17,000 pounds. Looks in really good condition, maybe partly because it's a Japanese import as well. Paintwork is excellent, no evidence of the rust that's often apparent on these. It's quite a late model as well, and I think that guide price was about right if it wasn't an import. A lot of people get put off by Japanese import cars. For me, it's often a bonus. They tend to be much better looked after in my experience. And of course, no salt on the roads, etc. Yeah, looks, I can't get in, but that looks really nice condition in there. No seat bolster wear that's so apparent on these cars. So in retrospect, I think actually that is a pretty good price. Fairly unusual colour for these as well. A really nice car. The only things that might detract are the manual gearbox conversion and the fact it's an import. And here, one of my favourite looking cars, Aston Martin V8. This is a Series 4 Oscar India, so-called October introduction, that stood for. You can see the Series 4 had the closed off bonnet scoop, of course. I think they reintroduced the burr walnut dash in the Series 4. And leather headlining, yep, there you go. Looks in good condition in here. It's a 4-owner car. Paintwork is average. Not sure how well this will come out. There's some marks on it, imperfections. Overall, it looks very good. Some damage around the filler cap, etc. 5.3 V8, of course. And another no reserve car. You don't see many of these no reserve, that's for sure. 73,000 miles. There's some damage down here. Apparently all the work that's been done to this car has been photographically documented, which is a really big plus. The trim is looking in average condition, that wood. And it looks fairly well used in here, but nothing bad. Actually, the seat wear isn't too bad. Very interested to see what this goes for, because you don't see many no reserve. I haven't seen an ESPRIT V8 turbo for quite a while. This is a 1998, about 40,000 miles on the clock, and the vendor has recently spent, well, in the last few years, £30,000, all kinds of mechanical maintenance and upgrades. Paintwork's excellent on this. 3.5 litre turbo V8, of course. I think they were 350 horsepower. It's a really quick car. This is guided at 40 to 50,000 pounds. Yeah, paintwork's really very good. I can't get in there, but can't get inside, but that interior looks excellent as well. Another Lotus, S1 ELISE. This one is notable because it's 2,000 miles only. So ridiculously low mileage. Recently rediscovered apparently after a long time in dry storage in a private collection. And it's no reserve. K-Series, 1.8 K-Series engine in these, of course. Yeah, I mean, as you'd expect, it's in almost as new condition. There is some wear on that seat actually. Famously difficult to get in these such high sills. But I think that could be a pretty good buy. I don't see it going for huge money. A bit rusty here from storage. And another legendary rally car, Metro 6R4. This is a non-turbo V6. It's guided at 80 to 100,000 pounds. I've seen some of these sell for about $250,000, the turbo versions and full rally spec. It's also the two-wheel drive, not four-wheel drive. It's had a full restoration just a couple of years ago. So is in top condition, also ready to go rallying. I suspect one in this good aesthetic condition may not go rallying. I'd hazard a guess. Maybe it will, maybe I'm wrong. Had a full engine rebuild just 300 miles ago. A full gearbox rebuild as well. New clutch, loads of stuff done to this. And 80 to 100,000 pounds. Another rally legend, obviously a 1989 Audi QUATTRO. This is a 10 valve, so the 2.2 turbo 10 valve. I think only about 300 of these came to the UK. Apparently sound a lot better than the 20 valve, but I think that's really the only benefit. I think the 20 valve engine was better in pretty much every other way. I'm no expert on these though, so do correct me. This is quite high mileage, 153,000 miles, but it does seem to have worn those miles very well. It looks in excellent condition, guided at 35 to 40,000 pounds. Apparently subject to a full restoration as well, and repainted, which is why it looks so good. It's had a full overhaul of brakes, treated underneath, wax oiled, etc, etc. So loads of history, loads of work done to this. And another beautiful car, this is a 1997 Bentley Continental R. And this is guided at 35 to 40,000 pounds, which actually seems fairly reasonable for a Continental R to me. Paintwork looks fairly decent. Nothing too bad. So these of course used the 6.75 turbo engine from the turbo at the time. And these cost a crazy amount of money when they were new. Nearly 180,000 pounds back in 1992, which is like 400,000 pounds in today's money. Just amazing. This doesn't look quite right here, and the colour match isn't great. I think it's had some work there. You can see that bumper isn't quite fitting. There are some imperfections. We've got some lacquer peel here, which would explain what I think is a relatively cheap for one of these guide price perhaps. Well, it's a bit of a couple of scratches on the bonnet, nothing major. Yeah, this side looks fairly decent. Again, we've got this issue doesn't seem to quite fit right here. So whether that's been replaced or some minor accident damage, I don't know. Last owner has had this for 6 years. It's got a full service history. So I think quite a well looked after example. There's some wear here on the centre armrest. Otherwise the interior looks very good. The wear on the driver's seat bolster is pretty minor. Yeah, a nice car. I think that'll probably make reserve in my opinion. And then onto this legendary car really. The Pontiac Trans Am with the full Firebird on the bonnet. So this always reminds me of it wasn't Scalextrics, but it was whatever the similar version was to that. And my favourite one was a black and gold Pontiac Trans Am Firebird. Beautiful car. This has got the Pontiac 400 engine in, so 400 cubic inch, I think that's 6.6 litre V8. It's got a mild cam running on it. and some other engine work as well. I bet this sounds absolutely epic when it's cammed. Quad exhaust tips out of both sides. This was resprayed, some minor damage here, nothing major. I think it was resprayed, fully resprayed about 8 years ago. This isn't particularly well fitted here, as you can see. I think the wheels may split opinion. Came to the UK in 2014, had some suspension upgrades as well. Guided at 18 to 20,000 pounds, which I think seems fairly reasonable, but I'm not very hot on the prices of these, to be honest. This is one of my favourite cars here. It's a Ferrari 308 VETRORESINA. This is 1976, and actually there was a very similar one, I'm pretty sure, and in this colour at Hampson Auctions earlier this year, right at the start of the year. I'm not sure if this is the same one or not, I've not been able to check yet. But the VETRORESINAs were the fiberglass version, so that's effectively what VETRORESINA means. And these were a 3-litre V8, and I think there was only just over 150 of these VETRORESINAs that came to the UK as right-hand drive, so really quite a rare car. And because of that fiberglass body, they were extremely light, something like 1,100 kilograms. And this looks in really good condition. Paintwork's excellent. Look at those exhaust tips, very shiny. Yeah, nice looking car. This is in 2022 had 8,000 spent recommissioning it. In fact, I think perhaps the only real issue with this car that I can see, I mean, it's not perfect, don't get me wrong, but there's definitely some fading and kind of sunlight damage, as you can see, particularly on the passenger seat of the leather, unfortunately. It wouldn't necessarily put me off, but some people may be put off by it. This is guided at 80 to 100,000 pounds. And next to it we've got another Ferrari, a Mondial T. So this is the last iteration, the highest spec of the Mondials, for 3.4 litre, sorry, V8 by this time. Earlier iterations had 3 litre and then 3.2. This is guided at 35 to 40,000 pounds. Mondials never fetched that much money. They've perhaps not the most popular Ferrari, but they're a great entry-level Ferrari if you want to get it at a reasonable price. Looks in fairly good condition. There is some minor paintwork damage here and there. I think the major issue here, well, not major, but the worst part about the car perhaps is this wear on the driver's bolster, which is fairly bad. I think may stop it reaching that kind of guide price, in my opinion. This has only had 3 registered keepers from new though. It's got tons of paperwork, cam belt service, crucially in 2019. It's since only done about 100 miles, so whether or not it might need some recommissioning, given it's been pretty much unused for 6 years, I'm not sure. And I think these Mondial Ts in right-hand drive are actually a pretty rare car. I think under 50 of these came to the UK in right-hand drive in T4. So I think that is another one that might struggle to meet reserve. We'll see. Then on to this Peugeot 304 Cabriolet. It's a 1973. Don't see that many of these, particularly the Cabriolets I think were quite rare. It's corn yellow paint, looks in reasonable condition. 92,000 miles on the clock, sorry, 93. You can see a bit of rust coming here. And some scrapes, you know, it's in, I think, average condition. You can probably see some rust poking through in various places. Windscreen scuttle looks slightly dodgy there. The Cabriolet hood looks all right. It's a right-hand drive, original right-hand drive. And these were a 1300cc engine, 4-speed manual, and it looks reasonable in here. You know, it's in fairly average condition, nothing particularly wrong with it, but you know, clearly not a Concours car. And that's no reserve though, so a good opportunity to get a fairly rare car. Another no reserve car, this very purple MGB. It was a category D write-off some years ago. Again, it's another car that's in kind of average condition. You know, it's not concours, it's no reserve. Some bubbling, etc. around here. And got the vinyl roof there. Yeah, it's cosmetically not the best. It had a new alternator, engine refurb, new fuel pump, etc, etc. So it's clearly had a bit spent on it to keep it running nicely. Around this side is a slightly worse here, as you can see. But you know, when these cars are no reserve, you can't really argue with that. And some rust under here as well. Let's see what it's like inside. Actually looks fairly good inside. Definitely better inside than out. Could be a cheap B if you don't mind something that's aesthetically challenged. And here's a Vauxhall Viva. This is a 1978, so-called HC. The first ones were an HA, HB, so this is the third iteration, the HC. About 57,000 miles. This is a 1300cc engine. A bit of damage there. 1300. Looks fairly tidy actually, this. And another no reserve car. Have a look in. Yeah, the seats are a bit ripped and torn. Nothing too serious. Other than that, it looks reasonably good in here. So here was a car I was potentially interested in, but I think it's a little bit too expensive, really, the guide price. This is 2003 911 turbo, so Mezger engine, I believe, in these, so no issues with the non-Mezger era engines in the 996 and 997 generation 911s. This has done 79,000 miles, and why it's also interesting, it's got the X50 pack, which was originally, back 20 odd years ago, was a £9,000 option. So it's effectively transformed it to a Turbo S, had power upgrades, the quad tips, the X50 body kit, Turbo S body kit on it. Service history is good, it's got 13 stamps, 7 of those from Porsche, both turbos replaced within the last 6,000 miles. Lots of other stuff done as well, coolant pipes replaced, 14 oil changes throughout its life, etc, etc. It's also interestingly had its interior fully redone. We can't get in here. It is a manual. I think this may well fall short of 35 to 40,000 pounds. I think you can get one with the X50 pack for around 30,000 or so, perhaps a little more. It's not perfect for sure. You know, there's some significant damage here. You know, some of this will come out, some might not. So yeah, I'll see if this goes for well under reserve, which it might do. I might well be interested. We've got the track and rally car section here. I won't go through all of them, but there's some interesting ones here. So starting with this Mitsubishi Evolution 6 GSR. So I think the 6 was the first one that came to the UK as grey imports. Obviously, famously also the Tommy Mackin edition was the Evo 6. This one has had a huge amount of upgrades. Obviously comes decked out in rally kit, livery. But it's the engine that's had so much work on this. It's running about 490 horsepower. It's about £25,000 worth of invoices. Huge great turbo down there. Forged engine, etc. It's only done 1,500 miles since all of that engine work. And it's estimated at £20,000 to £22,000. I really would love one of these, to be honest. full track spec inside, as you can see, totally stripped out. I imagine this is probably only, what, 1150, 1200 kilos maybe? Let me know if you know. And next to it, Subaru Impreza obviously, so again one that's been modified quite a bit. You can see some engine work, hoses, etc. Some scuffs on the gold wheels, nothing too bad. I've never been a huge fan of this later hatchback version. Stylistically, just doesn't quite do it for me. This is guided at 10 to 12,000 pounds, which seems pretty reasonable to me. And here is one I just absolutely love. 1981 Ford Escort, obviously Mark II RS200. But it's what it's had done to it as well. I mean, the Rothmans livery is just iconic. I love that. And this has had so much done to it. So this is a YB engine, so the Escort Cosworth YB engine, stage 3, running about 330 brake this. So that must really shift. You can see some very sticky rubber on here. And this, unbelievably, is no reserve. Really interested to see what this goes for. With a YB engine, I should think highly desirable. What do you reckon? Place your bets. Again, another stripped out one, carbon door panels, even got carbon trim on the roll cage, look. And again, no seats in the back. Quite a strong smell of fuel in here. Very strong smell of fuel. Here's something totally different, a Citroen DS Special. So of course DS, but DS in French. So deliberately play on words there by Citroen. DS meaning goddess. You can see famous for the hydropneumatic suspension in its lowest setting here. So many unique quirks of this car. Looks great in this yellow. And this is another no reserve car. This is, I think, the lowest spec engine, the 1900, I believe. Did they do a 2.2 as well, and 2.3, I think. These lights which turned as you turn corners, and you can see the little part in the compartment in there which you can open up to clean the lights when they get dirty. Unfortunately, this is locked. I can't show you the settings for the suspension. Obviously very famous, this for the hydropneumatic suspension, super comfortable. You can change a wheel without a jack on these using the suspension as well. It's not in the best condition, nothing hugely wrong with it, just a little untidy, as you can see. Some minor rust bubbling through here. I mean, good ones of these can be, what, low 20s maybe? So I don't know what this will go for. Perhaps close to teens, who knows? A few MGBs here. I'll feature another couple actually. Interesting car here, Auto Union, so kind of predecessor to Audi. These were a two-stroke, 50 horsepower. Not in great condition here. An interesting car, quite a relic really with its two-stroke engine, and there you go, it's a homage to Audi with its Audi hubcaps there. And some rust on the rear arc. Here's a 1988 Jaguar 3.6 TWR. So I think this was the first TWR, so obviously collaboration with Tom Walkinshaw Racing, very distinctive body kits. Obviously XJ40 era. Quite high mileage, about 145,000 miles. I was potentially interested in this. It looks actually in reasonably good condition on the outside. I looked at the MOT history. There's quite a bit of underside rust to be aware of on this car. That's locked, unfortunately. Stainless steel exhaust apparently sounds great. You can see some damage here. It's guided at £3,000 to £5,000, which sounds reasonable. The boot isn't looking too great though. Some pretty major scratches here. Yeah, this bumper's half falling off here, to be honest. Look at this. And quite a lot of rust underneath there. And rusting on the arch. Yeah, this won't fetch anywhere near 5,000. Come around this side, look at this. On this arch, very bad. Yeah. and some kind of paint damage. I'm not sure how well that'll come out on here. And this body trim here, it's not looking good, kind of coming away. Yeah, I take it back. This isn't a great car, to be honest. I struggle to see this making £3,000. Just very worn and well used. So I think there are a couple of Capri Brooklands here, 280 Brooklands. This is a 1987. So I think there are around about 1,000 or so of these run-out edition cars. Apologies, for the cars have just started going again round the track, so you may get quite a lot of background noise, apologies. Obviously you can see the 280 decals on it. This is no reserve, these are the 2.8 V6 of course, and it's no reserve because it's not in such great condition, quite a lot of bubbling through here. Some paintwork damage around the key here. And they were 5-speed manual, limited slip diff with these. And all of these came in Brooklands green, all of these 1,000 or so that they made of the run-out edition. I suspect under these covers it's fairly worn. Oh no, not as bad as I thought it might be. Yeah, this is definitely a project car or a cheap runabout that someone doesn't really care about. Looks like it's potentially had a bit of work on that sill, and I can see some rust under on the arch there. But you set the price, as they say. It's no reserve. Some damage there as well. And then over to the Maserati 4200 GT. These seem to be ever present at auctions nowadays. Obviously a Ferrari shared engine, V8 4.2 in this. 2003, 78,000 miles. It's got a very good history apparently. And this is another no reserve car. Now, normally I wouldn't be interested in a Cambio Corsa, the semi-automatic F1 gearbox effectively that this comes with. They can have issues, and the clutch wear is very expensive to replace the clutch if it wears. There's some minor dings here. Don't know how well that'll come out. Probably might not come out on camera. Oh, I've just spotted the driver's seat bolster. Definitely not interested in this any longer, unfortunately. Oh, that's extremely worn there. I just set the alarm off trying to show you the seat bolster, so I'll show you from outside. Yeah, so unfortunately not interested in that one. Maybe a blessing in disguise. I'm just quickly showing this one because it's quite unusual to see such a modern one with no reserve. 2014 110 XS, so high spec model, 2.2 litre TDCI in these. Transit engine effectively. This is, I think, what they call Welsh grey. Looks good in this colour. It's had quite a few aftermarket additions, roof rack, these big sawtooth wheels with BF Goodrich tyres. Looks in pretty good condition, apparently been very well cared for. Rear cross members showing some signs of minor rust. The chassis has apparently been stripped back and then treated. It looks okay. It looks pretty good, in fact. You can't tell quite how bad it was before they treated it. Some rust coming through, as you always get on the supports for this step. These go quite badly usually. Yeah, looks pretty good. The 60-odd thousand miles. The XS came with these chairs. I can't remember, to be honest with you, what additional things it had. Air conditioning, etc. obviously. 6-speed manual in these. Super comfortable. Almost too comfortable for me for a Defender. I like my Defenders to be a bit more rough and ready. Lovely car. Now, I wouldn't normally be interested in these, but if it's no reserve, I buy anything at the right money, and these are so saleable, you can easily sell this on. So I'll be keeping an eye on this one. So I'm not usually a huge fan of many American cars, let's say, but this one looks superb. Cadillac Fastback Coupe, really imposing, absolutely huge, as many American cars of this era are. I mean, look at this at the front. Incredible looking thing. 5.7 litre V8 in here, so this is 1949. Comes with a huge amount of history apparently. Imported to the UK in 2014. Looks in really pretty good condition. Guided at 30 to 35,000 pounds. You'll have to let me know in the comments if that sounds reasonable. I just have no idea about these cars, I'm afraid, but look at that design. What an incredible looking thing. There's some scratches on that black paintwork around the offside arch, and some chips on the door there. Interior looks really good though. Obviously new seats at some point. Yeah, lovely car. 1984 XR4i here. No reserve and 112,000 miles. There's also an XR 4x4 which looks in much worse condition. I'll pop over and show you in a minute. So this might be the one to have. Looks fairly good. This bumper obviously lost a lot of its colour. These can be tidied up fairly easily though. Actually, you know, it looks fairly good. Such a distinctive rear spoiler on the rear windscreen there. Iconic design, I think. Interior looks really excellent. Oh, there's a cigarette burn in the passenger seat. It's in okay condition here. Door card coming off. Got a bit of trim around the window, not looking great. Got some minor rips and cigarette burns on the seat, one on the passenger seat as well. But actually, you know, not actually that bad for all I'm pointing out those things. It looks pretty good. And no reserve car. So you have to forgive me, another American car I don't know a huge amount about. Obviously a Mustang Mach-1 Code M it's got the Cleveland V8 in this, 351 cubic inch. Looks lovely. Paintwork is excellent. It's had quite a lot of restorative work over the years. So new floor body panels, etc., and paintwork done. So I imagine at some point this was in a bit of a sorry state and needed quite a lot of recommissioning. It's also had a load of engine work, cams and pistons, etc. So I don't know what kind of power it's running, but I should think it sounds good and goes well. And this is guided at 30 to 35,000 pounds. It's not perfect. You can see it's had some work up here, look. Got some sealant, is it, here? Yeah, it's a bit tatty in places. I'd probably be wanting to have a good look underneath this given the amount of restorative work it's had and see how well that's been done. The XR 4x4 that I was talking about, it is a bit of a dog unfortunately, showing 47,000 miles. Not clear whether that's actually 147 though. I wouldn't be surprised looking at the state of it. The wheels are awful, there's a few dings and the raid paintwork doesn't look too great. Yeah, some car park dents down the side, pretty flat tyre at the back and a very bad wheel. This rear spoiler is in not a very good state. I don't know if you can see how wavy this is down there. Huge great exhaust at the back. I think this is very much a used and abused car, if I'm honest. Definitely one to miss. Another flat tyre, wheels are in terrible condition, some trim missing down the edge here, and there's clearly some issues inside. I think it smells very damp. You know, look how dirty this central armrest is. I'd be surprised if this was only 47,000 miles. The rear seats are just hideously dirty. I don't know how well it comes out in camera. I also noticed quite a lot of rust. I don't know if you can see it on the seat supports, etc. So it's obviously been very damp in here. Incredibly dirty car. I wouldn't touch this with a barge pole, but it's no reserve. This is a 2003 S2 ELISE, one of 100 limited edition 135Rs, the driver focused version. K-series engine, of course, and I think 135 horsepower for these, I believe. 18,000 miles. It's just come out of 5 years of storage and been recommissioned. Guide price is 18 to 22,000 pounds. I mean, these are a pretty safe place to put your money in, ELISE. They just don't seem to appreciate much at all. This carbon diffuser here, I don't actually know if this was standard on the 135R, perhaps you can let me know. That looks aftermarket to me, but I may be wrong. I always get slightly nervous when cars have just been recommissioned. And then next to it, its sister car, Vauxhall VX220. This is a turbo, 2004, I think it's 197 horsepower, about 70,000 miles, and guided at 12 to 14,000 pounds. These are usually a bit cheaper than the equivalent Lotus. Quite a different car, of course, being turbo. Never quite as keen on the design myself, kind of square lights, etc. But I think these are a great value for money car. Porsches here, I'm not going to show them both, but just moving to this 1981 924 Turbo. It's been in the same ownership, family ownership, since 1987. It's 112,000 miles and it's no reserve. Fairly rare these, only 400 or so I think in the UK. Came to the UK. This looks pretty good condition. Apparently it's got loads of history, well looked after. It does look in excellent condition actually. I do find a lot of this era Porsches look pretty ropey by now. Some minor dents here. I'm not sure if those would come out because they're on the crease of the bodywork there, so it might be difficult to remove. Interior looks fairly decent as well. I think that's could be a good buy at no reserve. This crazy looking 1979 Vauxhall Sirocco, obviously extensively modified. I love the paintwork. I'm not so keen on these wheels. I think these will really split opinion. Obviously slammed. It's got a 1300cc VW engine with the supercharger from a G40 Polo. Yeah, those wheels are definitely an acquired taste, I think. Totally slammed, totally stripped out in there. Look at that. Amazing. Guided at 14 to 16,000 pounds. This is a real niche market for this. Amazing car, but I think it may struggle to sell, or at least get many interested people. If only for those wheels. You can swap them easily enough, I guess. Yeah, apparently 400 hours of work that was. And next something totally different. 1967 Sunbeam Alpine GT. 38,000 miles. I'm not sure whether that's 138,000 or not. Paintwork looks pretty good. Some minor blemishes down the side here. Fitted with a more powerful 1725cc Hull Bay engine. On carbs, and fairly rare nowadays to see these. Lovely design. The bumper could do with some tidying up, but that's easily done. And this is guided at 9 to 11,000 pounds. This is a 1991 320i. Yeah, beautiful red colour, more gold wheels. I actually think these suit this car quite well. But again, may split opinion. 137,000 miles, so fairly high mileage, but these tend to wear their miles pretty well. 2 litre straight six in these, of course. 7 former keepers. It looks in pretty good condition. Some minor paintwork damage here and there. Notably perhaps here the paintwork doesn't look great. It's a very bad touch up there, I think, and some very bad wrapping by the looks of it on the window surrounds. That's not been done well, unfortunately. Rear seats are worn, all leather, but look decent enough. I can't get in here, unfortunately. Yeah, actually, you know, for the mileage, the wear looks reasonable there. It's no reserve. I might check out the history on these because these E30s are really fetching good money, and if that goes cheap I might be interested. And another no reserve car next to it, Triumph Stag. This has had an older restoration. I think this is Tahiti blue. Looks lovely in the sunshine. Tan interior. I can't get in here, but actually the interior looks excellent. And the hood looks good. It was a Category D insurance write-off back in 2010, so quite a while ago. It's only done 3,000 miles in about the last 20 years, which always makes me slightly nervous. But again, no reserve. Yeah, interior looks really very good. I think that could be a really good buy. So this little Austin A40 is one of the cars that's been getting the most attention here today. It's a Farina, so 1961. These came after the Somerset. Farina because they were Pininfarina designed, believe it or not. This has been restored by the owner over the last 6 years or so and looks really excellent. Paintwork is brilliant. Not really any rust anywhere. Upgraded engine as well to a 1200cc rather than a 950cc. It's on carburetors as well. Modern tyres to help. So yeah, that is no reserve. It's had a huge amount of interest, so interesting to see what this goes for. You don't see many, in my experience, in such good condition A40s. So what are we saying, maybe 6 to 8? And another really interesting car, the Lotus Europa. This is a Series 2 1970 mid-engine, really striking in this colour, so low. Only 2 owners and only 29,000 miles, and another no reserve car. Looks very good paintwork. And a no reserve Jaguar E-Type. This is a 4.2 litre 1967, imported from the USA and converted to right-hand drive. I'm always astounded people do that. The cost must be huge. Looks in very good condition. It's had over 30,000 spent on it during a restoration, and loads of evidence of that. Some minor paintwork damage, but overall everything looks very straight. And yeah, very good looking car this for a no reserve car. You can see new wheels and tyres as well. Interior looks pretty good as well. So no reserve Jag. Very interesting to see what this goes for. What do we reckon, 30s? This lovely old Bentley here. Look at that with the wood. I think it's a 3.5 litre, is it? Yeah, 3.5 litre, 1934. Huge amount of refurbishment work, new parts. It looks in excellent condition, and this is another no reserve car. I've no idea what this will go for, but really interested to see, because this must have had a huge amount spent on it. Another car that seems to be at every single auction these days, Bentley Continental GTC. This is a 2007. I think it's got some marks. It's difficult to tell what's dirt and what's marks here. It has got a bit of a rip in the tyre and some curbing on the wheel. This is only 61,000 miles, fairly low for one of these. Been owned for 4 years, 3 previous keepers, W12, 550 horsepower of course. Ridiculous engine really. It's got a full Bentley service up until 2021. And a lovely looking interior there. Guided at 18 to 20,000 pounds, which is something totally different. This is a 1999 Nissan 200SX turbo. This one's got some mild modifications, Stage 1 remap, etc. You don't find many of these standard, to be honest. Legendary car in kind of tuning circles, really. Lovely shade of green. been owned for the last 20 years. And that's the typical exhaust you'd expect in one of these. It's been fully undersealed and protected in original condition apparently, and it looks a really nice example actually. 14 to 16,000 pounds is the guide price. 62,000 miles. I wasn't actually going to feature this XJS just because there's usually so many of them and I probably feature too many of them. But this is a really, really good example actually, so I decided I would quickly just show it anyway. The interior in particular is really excellent. It's a 1990 5.3 V12, it's an HE of course, and only about 58,000 miles or so. I can't see any rust around the arches or the sills. Paintwork looks really good. And this is obviously, I think, a new interior. Smells very new as well. Looks good. Yeah, nearly 59,000 miles and guided at 12 to 14,000 pounds. Here's a 1993 Mark IV Toyota Supra. This is the 3-litre twin turbo 2JZ, 2JZ engine, famous of course. It's described as showroom condition in and out, but it's not quite. There's some bubbling under that paint. Wheels look perfect though. This is 34,000 miles only. Guided at 40 to 50,000 pounds. It's had ceramic coating, huge great exhaust, as with a lot of JDM cars of course. It's been treated underneath. It arrived in the UK in 1997, so it's been here quite a while. It's the auto version. Most of these are automatic. To me, it's a real drawback for this type of car, just because of the old school nature of the auto boxes in these. Quite a distinctive interior here, driver focused. It's had the gearbox actually refurbished, had the ECU recommissioned and refurbished recently. Obviously very well cared for. I'm not sure it'll make quite that. It is very low mileage. I think the Autobox may detract for some people, and I think it's really the ones that are extensively modified and had a huge amount spent on modifications that tend to make that 40 to 50,000 pound mark in my opinion. Another JDM hero car, Nissan Skyline. This is an R33 GTR V-Spec, 1995, came to the UK in 2015. These are all-wheel drive, limited slip diff. Some good-looking wheels. There's some minor paintwork damage down the side here, and quite a big dent there. 109,000 miles. You got some, rust stains here and here. And guided at 30 to 35,000 pounds. Yeah, I don't know. Who wants a big dent in it? I suppose you can get that out, but it might struggle to sell because of that. Obviously that's looking a bit untidy. Interior looks pretty good. Very good in fact. Apparently it's got a comprehensive service history, so we'll see how much that big dent detracts. And onto a Ford Focus RS, Mark I RS. So these were 2-litre turbo of course, 2003, 65,000 miles, but category S, so structural insurance write-off back in 2019, so what I would call relatively recent, which is going to put a lot of people off. I suppose hence it's no reserve. It's apparently unmodified, excellent service history, and you know, it looks in really good condition. Very good. Particularly around kind of, you know, those front arches and sills, which are some of the problem points on these. I was interested in this because it was no reserve, but unfortunately I hadn't spotted it was a category S write-off, so I don't think I will be. Interested to know what this is going to go for. Place your bets now. I'm going to go £11,000. And across to another Ford legend here. Ford Lotus Cortina Mark II, 1967. This one's apparently only 36,000 miles. I think these had the Kent twin cam engine. And look, this looks really cool. Stance here. Looks lovely, this car. Guided at 25 to 30,000 pounds. Looks a very good example, but I have seen these struggle to sell a bit. Used to sell for a huge amount of money. Vinyl roof looks good. It's slightly untidy around in places, but overall looks very good condition. And a real piece of Ford history these are. Stick my neck out and say this is going to fall shy of the reserve price though. Lamborghini Urus Performante. Quite ridiculous car this, guided at 200 to 250,000 pounds. Ridiculous twin turbo V8. Crazy spec, look at all this carbon. Huge wheels. 23-inch wheels those are. Just carbon everywhere. This could be one of the cheapest ways into a V10, VW M6. I think this is the V10 era. I may check out the paperwork on this. Looks in pretty good condition. It's the rod bearings on these you need to be careful of. Need replacing in the throttle actuators. Quad tips on this. It's been fairly well looked after. There's some minor damage down the side. It's got a good service history though. You may recognise this Ford Anglia, which was in my last, I think it was the last Hampson's auction at Bolesworth Castle. So, love the colour of this. It is a resto mod. It's got a 2.1 Pinto on carbs. I think it's got forged pistons, all kinds of work done on this. Engine work, suspension, brake upgrades, absolute tons spent under the bonnet on this. Unfortunately, the interior, if I remember, isn't quite finished off as well. If you look, see the door cards here are lacking, and unfortunately, wasn't painted there either. Very original dash still, which is cool. Yeah, it's a shame about those doors. This is no reserve this time. I think, I seem to remember it sold for about 13,000, I might be wrong, last time. I'll be keeping my eye on that, just in case there's a bargain to be had. Here's a 1990 Nissan 300ZX. I really like these cars, but it's so hard to find one in good condition. And this has got damage around the front. All around here you can see. But a really ahead of its time car this. 3-litre twin turbo V6, 300 horsepower, which is a lot back in the day. Unfortunately, some rust along there, minor. But as I say, it's extremely hard to find one of these in very good condition. It's a little bit tatty under the number plate there as well. Oh, and I hadn't seen this, some fairly major damage here. That's unfortunate. It's only 78,000 miles, guided at 6,000 to 8,000. I can't see it making that in this condition. You know, if that was good condition, I'd certainly be interested in it, but no way. Now this is a ridiculous car, Bedford Rascal, with a superbike engine in. Quite crazy. And just to top it off, excellent. You won't see another one of these, will you? So I'm just walking down to the racetrack now to see what's going round. I can see some modern classic Ferraris, all kinds of stuff actually, Mark 1 Golfs, loads of stuff. Sounds awesome, so I'm going to go down and have a look. But just walking through some of these spectator cars, there's some lovely classics here. Also some pretty rare cars, lots of MGBs, Porsches, fairly rare ones at that, and Land Rovers, etc. as you can see. It's quite good fun just walking around here. Really interested to see some of these cars from the auction though. For me, some of the highlights were the V8 Turbo ESPRIT, which I don't see many of. The 6R4, always good to see those. The VETRORESINA Ferrari as well, beautiful car. But I still think there's some real bargains to be had at this auction. In particular, some of the no reserve cars, ones that have had tens of thousands spent on them, either recommissioning, refurbishing, or performance upgrades, for example. So you're thinking here of the Jaguar E-Type, and some of the rally cars, the Evo 6 for example, which has had 10,000 spent on it. So definitely some bargains to be had. There's also some that will go really cheap because they're fairly average quality. For example, some of the MGBs I'm sure you'll be able to pick up for 4 or 5 grand kind of mark. So if you don't mind a slightly tatty car, there's some very cheap classics to be had still. This video may turn out to be a bit longer than I expected, so sorry about that. If you've made it this far, thank you very much for watching. And please do subscribe, it really helps the channel. Lots more videos coming soon, both on more classic car auctions and also some of my own cars.